Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to take you back not just to the beginning of your life, not even to the beginning of human history, but to the mind of God when He first created marriage. Because if we do not understand the original purpose of something, we will always risk abusing it. Marriage was never man's idea, it was God's. And if we are going to build strong marriages, we must return to His original blueprint. Marriage is not a human invention. It is not a government institution or a social experiment. It is a divine covenant established by God Himself. When God created the world, everything was good, but for the first time He declared something was not good. Man being alone. Genesis 2:18 says, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." This means marriage was designed to meet a need that man could not fulfill on his own. God did not create Eve because Adam was bored or lonely in a casual sense. Adam was fully engaged in his God-given work, naming the animals, tending the garden, and ruling over creation. But there was no one like him, no counterpart with whom he could fully relate. God saw this need and, in His wisdom, created Eve. This shows that marriage is not just about emotional or physical companionship. It is about divine. When God formed Eve, He did not consult Adam. Adam did not request a wife, nor did he search for one. God prepared Eve, fashioned her with His own hands, and presented her to Adam. This signifies that God is the ultimate matchmaker. When marriages are formed outside of God's will, they often struggle because they lack the divine foundation that holds them together. Marriage is more than a legal contract. A contract is an agreement between two people that can be broken when circumstances change. But marriage, as God designed it, is a covenant, a sacred, unbreakable bond meant to reflect His eternal love for His people. That is why the Bible often compares marriage to Christ's relationship with the church. Christ does not abandon the church when it fails. He loves, protects, and sacrifices for it. Likewise, marriage is meant to be a reflection of that divine commitment. When marriage is treated as a human institution, it becomes subject to human opinions and trends. Society redefines it, changes its terms, and even discards it altogether. But when we understand that marriage is God's creation, we no longer approach it lightly. We seek His guidance before entering it, and we rely on His wisdom to sustain it. A marriage that leaves God out is like a house built without a foundation. It may look beautiful on the outside, but when storms come, it collapses. This is why so many marriages today fail. People enter relationships based on emotions, attraction, or convenience rather than divine purpose. But when God is at the center of a marriage, He becomes the glue that holds it together. Love alone is not enough. Human love is fragile, but God's love is unshakable. Marriage was never designed for one person to dominate the other. It is not intended for control, oppression, or inequality. God did not create Eve as an afterthought or as a servant to Adam. He created her as a partner. Genesis 2:21-22 says, "So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, He took one of the man's ribs and closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib He had taken out of the man, and He brought her to the man." The fact that God took Eve from Adam's rib is significant. He did not take her from his head, meaning she was not meant to rule over him. He did not take her from his feet, meaning she was not meant to be trampled upon. He took her from his side, signifying equality, companionship, and unity. This means that in God's design, marriage is not about one person controlling the other. It is about walking together in purpose. In many cultures, marriage has been distorted into a system of dominance, where one spouse exerts power over the other. But this is not God's plan. A healthy marriage operates as a partnership where both individuals contribute, support, and strengthen each other. Proverbs 31 describes a virtuous woman who is not just a homemaker, but a strong, wise, and capable partner. She manages business, provides for her family, and is respected in the community. This is God's vision for a woman, not weak, not inferior, but a powerful partner in fulfilling divine purpose. Marriage is designed for complementary strengths. Men and women are different by design, but those differences are not meant to create competition. They are meant to create completion. A husband and wife bring different perspectives, gifts, and abilities that when combined make them stronger together than they could ever be alone. Partnership in marriage also means shared responsibility. In many homes, one partner carries the weight of decision-making, finances, or parenting, while the other remains passive. But a kingdom marriage requires both partners to engage, invest, and participate. A husband is called to love his wife as Christ loves the church, sacrificially, selflessly, and unconditionally. A wife is called to respect and support her husband, not in submission out of fear, but in strength and wisdom. A real-life example of this kind of partnership is seen in successful marriages, where both spouses uplift each other's dreams and goals. There are husbands who push their wives to pursue education, ministries, or careers, and wives who stand by their husbands through challenges, offering encouragement and wisdom. These marriages thrive because they operate in unity. When a marriage is built on ownership rather than partnership, it leads to resentment, frustration, and eventual breakdown. But when both partners understand that they are co-laborers in God's kingdom, they work together, support one another, and overcome life's challenges as a team, God's original design for marriage is not competition, not hierarchy, but partnership. When a husband and wife see themselves as allies rather than opponents, they build a marriage that is unshakable, fruitful, and fulfilling. Marriage is not sustained by physical attraction alone. Beauty fades, emotions fluctuate, and seasons of life change, but love must remain constant. Many people enter marriage based on attraction, mistaking infatuation for love. However, true love is not just a feeling, it is a choice, a commitment, and a daily act of selflessness. The Bible describes love in 1 Corinthians 13:4-7 as patient, kind, not envious, not boastful, not proud, not dishonoring, not self-seeking, not easily angered, and keeping no record of wrong. This kind of love does not come naturally to the human heart. It must be cultivated through sacrifice, patience, and understanding. A couple once shared their story of how their marriage survived a difficult season. The wife was diagnosed with a serious illness that changed her physical appearance and limited her mobility. The husband, who had once been drawn to her beauty and energy, found himself in a position where he had to care for her daily. Many assumed he would walk away, but he remained committed. When asked why, he said, "I didn't marry her for what she looked like or what she could do for me. I married her because I loved her." This is the kind of love that sustains a marriage, not one built on physical attraction, but one rooted in a deep commitment to the person, no matter what changes come. Hollywood often portrays love as passion, excitement, and romance, but real love is tested in adversity. It is easy to love when everything is going well, but true love is revealed in hardship. A marriage that depends on attraction alone will crumble under pressure because attraction can diminish, but love can grow stronger with time. Love in marriage also requires intentional actions. Many relationships struggle because one or both partners assume that love is automatic, but love requires effort. A husband who once pursued his wife with thoughtful gestures, kind words, and deep conversations may stop after years of marriage, assuming his presence is enough. A wife who once admired and encouraged her husband may become complacent, assuming he no longer needs affirmation. This neglect creates emotional distance. Love must be continually expressed through words, actions, and sacrifices. True love also forgives. No marriage exists without conflict, and every couple will experience disappointment. A love that does not forgive will turn into bitterness, and bitterness will erode the foundation of the relationship. Love that endures does not ignore problems, but it does not hold on to past mistakes. It chooses to forgive and move forward. A strong marriage requires a love that mirrors God's love, unconditional, sacrificial, and unwavering. It is not based on appearance, feelings, or personal benefit, but on a deep, unbreakable commitment to one another's well-being. God did not create marriage simply for emotional or physical pleasure. While companionship and intimacy are blessings of marriage, the ultimate purpose goes beyond personal satisfaction. Marriage is designed for divine purpose. In Genesis 1:28, God told Adam and Eve, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it." This was not just a command to have children, but a commission to build something greater together. Marriage was intended to be a partnership that advances God's kingdom, influences society, and creates a legacy. A marriage without purpose lacks direction. Many people enter relationships seeking only happiness, but happiness is a byproduct of purpose. When a couple aligns their marriage with God's calling, they find deeper fulfillment than temporary pleasure can offer. A marriage centered on selfish desires will eventually lead to frustration because human desires are never fully satisfied. But when a marriage is centered on God's purpose, it gains meaning beyond the couple's personal needs. A couple who understands this principle sees their marriage as a mission. They support each other's growth, encourage each other's dreams, and work together to impact their community. This could be through raising godly children, building a family business, serving in ministry, or using their resources to bless others. Many marriages struggle because one or both partners lack a sense of direction. A husband who has no vision for his life cannot effectively lead his home. A wife who does not understand her value and role will feel lost. When two people come together without a shared purpose, their relationship becomes stagnant. But when they discover their purpose as a couple, they experience unity, strength, and passion. A real-life example of this is seen in couples who build ministries, businesses, or family legacies together. A husband and wife who dedicate their lives to mentoring young couples, leading community initiatives, or supporting missions find that their marriage is strengthened in the process. Their love grows deeper because they're working towards something greater than themselves. Pleasure in marriage is not wrong, but when pleasure becomes the primary goal, the relationship loses depth. A marriage built only on attraction, fun, and personal enjoyment will struggle when challenges arise, but a marriage built on purpose will withstand difficulties because it is grounded in something eternal. A fulfilling marriage is one where both partners ask, "What has God called us to do together?" and pursue that mission with unity, dedication, and faith. Love in marriage is not about convenience, it is about sacrifice. Many enter marriage expecting to receive, but true marriage thrives when both spouses are willing to give. The greatest example of love is Christ himself, who sacrificed everything for the ones he loved. John 15:13 says, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." Marriage is not just about enjoying life together. It is about being willing to lay down personal preferences, desires, and sometimes even comfort for the sake of the relationship. A strong marriage is built on mutual sacrifice. A husband who prioritizes his own needs over his wife's will create resentment. A wife who expects to be served without serving in return will cause division. Both must be willing to compromise, put each other's needs before their own, and seek the well-being of the marriage above personal gain. A couple once shared their struggle in the early years of marriage. The husband was focused on his career, working long hours and bringing stress home. The wife felt neglected, struggling with loneliness while managing household responsibilities. Arguments became frequent. Change only came when both recognized the need for sacrifice. The husband began setting boundaries at work to spend more time at home, and the wife chose to express her concerns with grace instead of anger. Their marriage improved not because circumstances changed, but because they chose to put each other first. Many marriages fail because one or both spouses refuse to sacrifice. Some people enter marriage expecting it to be effortless, believing love alone will sustain them. But love requires action. It requires choosing patience when irritated, offering kindness when offended, and forgiving when wronged. It means being there during difficult times, even when it is uncomfortable. Sacrifice also means letting go of selfish ambitions. If a husband constantly prioritizes his hobbies, friends, or personal goals over his marriage, he is not demonstrating love. If a wife refuses to compromise on major decisions because she wants control, she is not building unity. Sacrifice is about giving up something good for something greater, the success of the marriage. A real test of sacrifice in marriage is seen during hardships. When financial struggles arise, when health issues come, or when external pressures build, selfishness will destroy the relationship. But a couple willing to stand together, sacrificing pride, comfort, and sometimes even personal dreams for the greater good, will endure. Jesus did not love the church because it was always easy. He loved and sacrificed for it even when it was undeserving. That is the love that sustains a marriage, a love that is willing to pay the price for something greater than self-interest. Many marriages struggle not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of communication. Misunderstandings, assumptions, and unspoken expectations create distance between spouses. Adam and Eve had a perfect relationship in the Garden of Eden, but as soon as the serpent entered and they failed to communicate properly, blame and division followed. The enemy always seeks to destroy relationships through silence, misinterpretation, and isolation. A marriage cannot thrive when communication is weak. A husband who assumes his wife knows how he feels but never expresses appreciation will cause emotional disconnect. A wife who expects her husband to understand her struggles without verbalizing them will feel frustrated. Words have power. Proverbs 18:21 says, "The tongue has the power of life and death. What is spoken or left unspoken can build or break a marriage." A couple once attended marriage counseling after years of tension. The husband believed his wife no longer respected him, while the wife felt unheard and neglected. The issue was not a lack of love, it was a lack of communication. They had stopped discussing their dreams, struggles, and expectations. Their home was filled with silent assumptions rather than open conversations. Through intentional effort, they rebuilt their relationship by prioritizing daily communication, expressing appreciation, and addressing concerns honestly. Assumptions are dangerous in marriage. Many spouses assume their partner should just know what they need, but people are not mind readers. A wife may assume her husband understands why she is upset, while he may be completely unaware. A husband may expect his wife to recognize his stress while she is waiting for him to open up. Healthy marriages are built on clear, open, and honest conversations. Communication is not just about talking, it is also about listening. Many people listen to respond rather than to understand. A spouse who constantly interrupts, dismisses feelings, or responds defensively is not fostering connection. James 1:19 gives a powerful principle. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. A strong marriage practices active listening, seeking to understand before reacting. Effective communication also means addressing conflicts immediately. Some couples sweep problems under the rug, hoping they will disappear. But unaddressed issues become emotional landmines, exploding later in resentment. A couple that openly discusses challenges, resolves conflicts with love, and seeks understanding will build trust. Technology has also affected communication in modern marriages. Many couples spend more time on their phones than engaging with each other. A husband scrolling through social media during dinner, or a wife constantly distracted by messages instead of meaningful conversation, can create emotional distance. Prioritizing face-to-face conversations strengthens intimacy. Marriages that thrive are those where spouses feel heard, valued, and understood. Communication is not just about solving problems, it is about building connection. A marriage that prioritizes open, honest, and loving communication will stand strong against any challenge. No marriage is perfect because no person is perfect. Every relationship will experience misunderstandings, disappointments, and offenses. The difference between a marriage that thrives and one that falls apart is the ability to forgive. Many couples believe love is what holds a marriage together, but forgiveness is just as important. Without it, resentment builds, creating distance between spouses. Forgiveness is not about ignoring problems or pretending issues do not exist. It is about choosing to release bitterness and work through challenges together. Holding on to past mistakes creates a barrier in the relationship. A husband who constantly reminds his wife of her past failures is not building trust. A wife who brings up old arguments in every new disagreement is not creating peace. Love does not keep a record of wrongs, 1 Corinthians 13:05. A couple once struggled with resentment after a betrayal. The wife found it difficult to trust again, and the husband, though remorseful, felt trapped by his past mistake. Every conversation turned into a reminder of the pain. Their marriage only began to heal when they decided to move forward. The wife chose to forgive, not because the hurt disappeared overnight, but because she refused to let bitterness control her. The husband committed to rebuilding trust with patience and consistency. Their marriage survived because they chose forgiveness over resentment. Many marriages fail not because of a single mistake, but because of unresolved bitterness. Small offenses, if not forgiven, turn into deep wounds. A spouse may feel unappreciated, unheard, or taken for granted, and instead of addressing the issue, they allow resentment to grow. This silent frustration leads to emotional detachment. Forgiveness does not mean trust is instantly restored. If a husband or wife has been deeply hurt, trust must be rebuilt through actions. But choosing forgiveness is the first step toward healing. It means refusing to hold the past as a weapon against the future. Jesus set the highest example of forgiveness. He forgave even while on the cross, saying, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Luke 23:34, if Christ could forgive in the midst of suffering, how much more should a husband and wife extend grace to each other? Forgiveness is not a one-time decision. It is a daily choice. Couples must choose to let go of offenses, communicate openly, and work toward restoration. A marriage that is quick to forgive is a marriage that will last. Marriage is not sustained by emotions alone. Feelings change. Love that is based only on emotion will rise and fall with circumstances. A strong marriage is built on faith, faith in God and faith in each other. When difficulties come, faith provides stability. A couple that relies on feelings will be shaken by financial struggles, disagreements, or personal failures. But a couple that builds their marriage on faith understands that God is the foundation. Matthew 7:24-25 describes the wise man who built his house on the rock. When storms came, the house stood firm. A marriage built on faith is like that house. It withstands trials because it is anchored in something unshakable. A husband who leads with faith brings security to his home. A wife who prays over a family strengthens the foundation of the relationship. When a couple faces uncertainty, their trust in God keeps them united. Faith reminds them that marriage is more than a contract. It is a covenant designed by God. A real-life example of faith in marriage is seen in couples who endure hardship without losing hope. A couple struggling with infertility, for instance, can choose to let disappointment divide them, or they can stand together in faith, believing in God's plan. Another couple facing financial difficulty can choose to blame each other, or they can seek God's wisdom and trust Him for provision. Faith shifts the focus from problems to promises. Faith in marriage is also about trusting each other. A wife must trust that her husband has her best interests at heart. A husband must believe in his wife's commitment to their family. Distrust breeds division, but faith builds unity. Prayer is a key part of a faith-filled marriage. A couple that prays together invites God into their relationship. Many couples seek advice from friends, books, or counselors when facing challenges, but they neglect the most important source of wisdom, prayer. A marriage that is covered in prayer is protected against the attacks of the enemy. Faith sustains love when feelings fade. It gives strength when circumstances are difficult. It brings peace when life is uncertain. A marriage built on faith will not only survive but flourish because it is rooted in something greater than human emotions. It is grounded in God's unchanging promises. God's original plan for marriage is beautiful, powerful, and unbreakable when built on His foundation. If we want marriages that last, we must return to the one who designed them. If your marriage is struggling, don't lose hope. Go back to God's original plan. If you are single and preparing for marriage, don't settle for less than God's best. A kingdom marriage is not found, it is built. Day by day, choice by choice, love by love. May God bless your relationships, your homes, and your families as you walk in His divine plan for marriage.